Thank you, Mr. Plato. Now that you've heard my 3 poems, my volume 1 poem that has inspired me after I read Frankenstein, The Never Dying Worm, and you also heard The Monster's Plea after I read volume 2, and after you heard The Mockery Echoes of Hell was my final poem that I wrote after I read volume 3 of Frankenstein. Frankenstein was very disturbing because Dr. Frankenstein was very smart, and he was a lot smarter than me, and yet he became irresponsible and he wanted to be a murderer. Mr. Plato, we can learn from these individuals in very different time periods because of literature. Each story has a relevant meaning of addressing many cultural problems that need to be discussed and thought about by as many people as possible, so we can get different mind thoughts, and it'll help break barriers and help to create communication between people. Though through literature, writers can voice certain discriminations and any kind of problematic issues that people come across, and they can voice and show emotion and the human side of the story through several different topics. There are so many lessons that can be applied to our world today by each person becoming educated in the historical relevance of each time period in order to learn the struggles and hardships that these people experienced throughout our world history. By learning this information, people can understand where cultures were during each time period, and they can learn where we are today because of the sacrifices that many people have made. Mr. Plato, please do not stop poets and the writers from writing, sir. After myself, I was just a dumb, mentally retarded guy until the scientists decided to select me for a test to make my brain smarter. And I gotta tell you, sir, after I've learned all these different stories and texts, I would never change it. I would never change this experience of knowing literature and reading literature, because literature is a necessary voice of speakers who need to educate the public. And